This video isn't about roses, hearts, or fairy tale endings with a cheesy Hollywood soundtrack. There's no room here for happily ever afters or fake rom-com vibes. This is for the guys who are done playing the weepy sidekick in her movie. If you're still chasing her approval, bolt. Close this tab, crawl back to your emotional crib, and keep believing that being the nice guy is the golden ticket to love. Because what's coming next isn't a pat on the back, it's a gut punch, no anesthesia. She'll say you've changed, that you've gone cold, that you lost your sweetness. Translation? You stopped kissing the ground she walks on, and that, my friend, shatters her ego into 1,000 pieces, the same ego that loved watching you grovel for every scrap of her attention. Your whole life they trained you to be an emotional lapdog. Smile, be understanding, play nice. And what did you become? An Uber for her feelings. Always on call, always predictable, always disposable. And her? She ghosted when it suited her. Popped back in when she was bored with the others. And you'd race to the door, tail wagging, thinking it was love. But enough. Today, the game ends. Because you're about to master the ancient art no TikTok guru will ever teach you. Surgical silence. This isn't pride, it's strategy. It's not drama, it's chess. The less you say, the more she spirals. The less you react, the harder she tries to figure you out. And when she finally realizes she's lost her grip, game over. The guy she used to play like a fiddle is now a puzzle even her therapist can't crack. This isn't just detachment, it's emotional warfare with a velvet touch. It's the moment you stop being her circus clown and become the mystery she'll obsess over while pretending she doesn't care. But before we dive into this reality check, let's talk respect. Not for me, I don't need your applause. If this video found you, it's because someone had the guts to hit like and subscribe. So do the bare minimum. Click, comment, and thank the algorithm for letting raw truth slip through the cracks of mediocrity. Enough talk. Let's tear through the illusions, crush the ego, and leave only what matters. A man who finally gets that disappearing can be the loudest sound she'll ever hear. Ready to ditch the nice guy role? Good. Because that part was never meant for you. Number 1, the lie of attachment, masquerading as love. Or how to turn a man into a doormat and convince him it's romantic. Oh, the good guy. The walking shrine to desperation. Sweet, devoted. Always available, like free Wi-Fi at a coffee shop. A full-on emotional sponsor. Sounds noble, right? Wrong. In reality, you're just another sucker selling his soul for half-hearted attention. The world trained you to be this, a public servant of her emotions. Prove you love her, they say. The real translation: get on your knees, sacrifice your peace, erase your identity, and thank her when she benches you in her emotional reserves. You call it love. The real name? Desperation wrapped in poetic packaging. Society's got you mistaking attachment for passion, self-sacrifice for commitment. But here's the kicker. The more you cling, the less she respects you. The more you give, the more she leaves you on red. Want to be ignored? Act like you can't breathe without her. Want to be disposable? Show her you're available 24/7, flowers in hand. Now hold this truth. When you finally pull back, grow a spine, and stop licking the floor she walks on. She loses it, calls you cold, selfish. You've changed. Damn right you changed. You quit being her emotional errand boy, and what stings her isn't lost love, it's lost control. She didn't want a man. She wanted a personal assistant with a heart, complete with a name tag, quotas, and a mandatory smile. But when you wake up, the game flips, because attachment was always just marketing. Real love, the kind that lasts, doesn't need a leash or a daily check-in. No woman will respect you while you're serving up trays of affection to someone who only shows up to nibble. Want to change the game? Start by valuing yourself over someone who only notices you when you're gone. Real power doesn't shout. It walks away without asking permission, without explanations. and without leaving a key under the mat. Number 2, the repulsion effect, when you give too much, or how your affection becomes emotional bug spray. You thought being there 24/7 was the key to love, didn't you? Always showing up, smiling, complimenting, replying in 0.3 seconds flat. Congrats, you just became the season's most efficient emotional doormat. Here's the cold truth no one dared tell you. The more you give, the faster she runs. Simple, brutal, true. You call it devotion. She calls it boring. There's one thing the female ego can't stand. Ease. That's right. The guy who's always there, ready, predictable, eager, isn't a prize. He's emotional dead weight. And what do people do with dead weight? They ditch it. You became the book she doesn't want to read anymore. No mystery, no tension, no challenge. You're the trailer for a movie she'd skip on Netflix, a walking spoiler of your own desperation. And here's the twist. She'll still take your attention. She'll smile, say thanks, maybe even call you amazing. But inside, she's counting the seconds until she can escape the clingy soap opera. Too much affection, when it's handed out like free candy, turns into nausea. When she finally cuts you loose, she'll play the confused card. You're great, but I'm just not sure what I feel. Translation: you're emotional fast food, convenient, cheap, and forgettable. And you beat yourself up. Think you messed up by being too good, too caring, when really your only mistake was being predictable to the point of being invisible. You became a clearance sale, always available, always on discount. And like any sale, she grabbed what she wanted, then tossed it. Deep down, she never wanted the guy who chases. She wanted the one who vanishes, the one she can't figure out. Constant presence kills the spark. Too much attention becomes noise. The guy who tries too hard turns into background music she wants to mute. And the best part? She'll never admit it. She'll keep whining about jerks while treating the sincere, attentive guy like emotional spam. So, if you want your dignity back, listen up. Vanish. Be scarce. Be the silence she can't decode. Because only when you stop playing her loyal sidekick does she realize she lost the star of the show. Nothing grabs attention like the absence of someone she thought would always be there. Number 3. How strategic detachment is born, or how to turn pain into dignity and disappearance into a verdict. Nobody wakes up one day itching to go ice cold. Detachment doesn't come with a frost mode activated alarm. It simmers slowly until it hardens into stone. And the main ingredient? Repetition. Endless loops of disappointment. One-sided conversations. Texts left unread. Promises wrapped in, "You're amazing, but..." While you were out here trying to save the castle, she showed up daily with a shovel, digging your grave. It's in the middle of her silence and your pathetic persistence that the first crack forms. Your heart starts to glitch. Your brain does the math. All in, zero return. And in that emotional bankruptcy, a seed sprouts. Strategic detachment. This isn't anger, that's for amateurs. It's not revenge, that's for emotional teens. It's surgical clarity. You finally see the game was always rigged. While you bled to make it work, she just kicked back and watched. So you stop. At first, you feel guilty, thinking you're the problem. Then curiosity kicks in. What happens if you ghost? And finally, pleasure. The wicked thrill of watching her short circuit when your good morning text doesn't show up. When you don't chase. When you don't react. And trust me, she notices. Her ego can shrug off affection, but it can't handle being ignored. The silence she used to punish you with now becomes her punishment. And she spirals quietly, of course. Admitting she lost control? Never. True detachment is born in that moment you realize chasing her is just humiliation dressed as romance. Unreturned affection is emotional charity. And sometimes the greatest act of love is vanishing without a trace. Here's the poetic part. She'll never know when you flip the switch. She'll dig through old chats, stalk your stories, try to crack the code. But all she'll find is the void, the same void she planted, now blooming in her chest. She'll try to reel you back. A little charm, some fake nostalgia, generic shade thrown your way. But it's too late. You learned not to run back into the fire that nearly burned you alive. You didn't go cold, you got clear, and clarity to someone used to keeping you on your knees is the cruelest punishment. Number 4, the female reaction to detachment, or how a man's silence becomes the scream that tears her ego apart. At first, she laughs. Of course she does. The nice guy ghosted. Must be a joke. She thinks it's just another low-budget emotional tantrum. Oh, look at him playing tough. She's seen this movie, the one where the guy caves with an "I miss you" and a pathetic plea for attention. So she waits, like she's waiting for her delivery order, expecting you to crack. In her mind, you're predictable. It's only a matter of time before you come crawling back, ego bruised, soul on clearance. But time ticks by. No essay-long texts, no good morning pings. Your stories vanish. Your presence, once her emotional doormat, is now a gaping absence. And suddenly the joke's not funny. The game turns into a nightmare. Her ego starts begging for mercy. From smugness comes shock, from doubt, unease, and from unease, collapse. She realizes you're not playing. You're gone. No heads up, no tantrum, no goodbye note. For someone who always starred in the relationship script, losing the director's chair is her emotional apocalypse. Cue the circus, subtle social media jabs, melodramatic shades straight out of a soap opera, casual run-ins at your favorite spots, forced selfies with random dudes to spark your jealousy. Anything to get a reaction. Any sign you're still breathing. But you, nothing, silence, indifference. The deafening void of a man who's done falling for the same trap. And that's when her ego implodes. She can handle scorn. She can fake forgive betrayal. But indifference? There's no playbook for that. No stage for her drama. Without an audience, the leading lady loses it backstage. She wanted a scene. She wanted fireworks. She wanted emotion. You gave her the one thing she can't handle, nothing. And the tragedy. It all happens off script. No spotlight, no likes, just her, and the void you left behind. Meanwhile, you move on, growing, evolving, sleeping soundly, because the man who masters detachment doesn't look back. And if he does, he's already diminished back to being her hostage. She doesn't want you. She wants control. She wants the power to yank you back, to stroke her ego with your relapse. So write this down. The truly cold man never returns. Not because he's stone, but because he's finally his own priority. Number 5, the projection phase, you've changed. Or how her victim script kicks in when control slips away. Hold tight, because this is where the drama hits fever pitch. When she sees the game's over, the board's flipped, your silence is routine, and your absence is law. Her ego panics, and out comes the Oscar-worthy line. You've changed. Oh, the irony. The woman who ignored you, treated you like old furniture useful but invisible, is now shocked, acting like she can't fathom why her emotional clown hung up his costume. Of course she's stunned. In her mind, you were her forever emotional puppy. She'd ghost, reappear, use you, toss you aside, and you'd be there, always there, drooling for scraps, grinning through the hunger, running when she snapped her fingers. But then you shift. You shut down, turn to stone, become silence, surgical coldness, and her ego. It crumbles like a sandcastle at high tide. Here comes the performance. You're not the same. What happened to your warmth? What's wrong with you? Translation. Why did you stop letting me walk all over you? She tries to guilt trip you, like you're the villain for refusing to grovel. And worse, she takes it public. Spills to her friends, her group chats, her Instagram stories disguised as vague shade. You lost yourself. You're too cold now. But let's get real. You didn't change. You woke up. The blinders came off. The game became clear. And now you're done dancing, not to yell, not to argue. Because even fighting kept you on her stage. Now you hit back with the ultimate weapon, cold courtesy, and one-word replies. And that rips her ego to shreds. Because she doesn't feel your anger, she feels your absence. And absence is the one thing her ego can't manipulate. This projection is her last gasp of lost control, a desperate bid to make you question your growth, the final cry of a system that worked until you pulled the plug. So when she says you've changed, smile inside. It's the official stamp. You're now the kind of man she can't play anymore. What she calls change, the world calls awakening. Number 6, the new you silent, uncrackable, unfazed. Or how to become the psychological nightmare of anyone who thought they'd always have you. Before, you were easy. One, "Hey, stranger" text, and boom, you were down, drooling, begging for attention with the dignity of a stray dog. She knew where to find you, how to break you, which buttons to push to make you come running. Now, forget it. The man she knew is gone, buried without a funeral. In his place is an enigma with a code she can't crack. A silence that screams louder than any rant. A new you with no caption, no password, no map. She tries to figure you out, but the puzzle pieces are broken by her own hands. Now she's begging to piece together a game she thought she owned. Except this game, it's over. You didn't block her, didn't make a scene, didn't throw shade. You did something far worse. You became a living absence. You exist, but you're not there. And for an ego addicted to control, that's torture deluxe. Slow, cold, and endless. She doesn't know if you feel, if you think of her, if you'll come back, if you're gone for good or just watching from the sidelines. And that uncertainty, it's the mental cage she built herself. You've become the kind of absence that lingers. The emotional ghost that doesn't scream but haunts. While she rehearses apologies, posts selfies, stirs drama, and tries to provoke. You stay steady, silent, unfazed. And that eats her alive. Because no woman can stand being ignored by the guy who once begged to be seen. You didn't fight. You didn't explain. You just left. No permission, no trace, no door left ajar. She tries everything. Candid photos with captions screaming shade. Fake laughs with random guys to bait you. Phony spiritual glow-ups with generic motivational quotes. But none of it scratches you. Because you're done playing her game. You don't need validation. Don't want answers. Don't need her presence, and that's the poison she can't handle. Here's the final blow. Now she's the one watching you in silence. Trying to figure out how her emotional doormat turned into an ice wall. Every cold, calculated move you make is an invisible slap to her ego. A mirror where she sees for the first time that her control is gone. The new you doesn't shout. The new you forgets. And forgetting is the punishment no female ego knows how to endure. Number 7. The hypothetical reunion. The scene she dreams of but will never get. Or how her imagination spins a movie that only plays in her head. In her mind, it's pure cinema. She walks in, you spot her, and cue the slow-motion montage, dramatic soundtrack, hearts pounding in surround sound. She pictures you frozen, throat tight, sweating, silently begging for a touch that never comes. In her fantasy, you're not a man, you're a lovesick teen. She glides over, flashing that fake smile she pulls out when she wants something, and delivers the line. You disappeared. In her script, you crumble. Your eyes waver. Your voice cracks. Your body betrays you. She's back to feeling like a goddess, queen of your mind. But reality hits different. What she gets isn't desperation, it's indifference. Not a racing heart-steady pulse, not longing an empty stare. A flat, "Hey, are you good?" That sounds like a doctor's checkup. A look so neutral it could make a robot jealous. She tries to spark a convo, laugh, pry into your life. But every attempt crashes into the fortress you've become. You're there, but you're not. Body present, soul gone. And that absence hits harder than 1,000 words. What kills her ego isn't hate or grudges. It's your complete inability to feel anything. She dreamed of impact, got silence. Dreamed of emotion, got icy politeness. Dreamed of power, got nothing. And that nothing screams, it's over. Not from a fight, not from an argument, but because you died inside and there's no resurrecting someone who buried the relationship alone. The reunion she pictured as her victory lap becomes a mirror, a reflection of what she lost, a portrait of the man she shaped with neglect, now untouchable. You're there, whole, alive, but you don't belong to her world anymore. And for the first time, she sees the game is done, not because you gave up on her, because you outgrew her. And that new man, she'll never reach him again. Number 8, detachment as personal power, or how to step out of the emotional sidekick role and claim the throne of your own story. Before, detachment was a shield, a reflex, a survival instinct after too many kicks disguised as romance. But now, it's armor. It's your operating system, your lifestyle, your throne. And the guy on that throne doesn't beg for attention. He observes. He chooses. And when needed, he vanishes, with the cold precision of someone who doesn't negotiate his worth. The best part of this glow-up? Knowing that deep down she always had a thing for this kind of man. The tough one, the mystery, the guy who doesn't dance to her emotional tune. But now that you've become that complete, cold, untouchable, she hates you for it. Because you're everything she's drawn to, but can't control. Real detachment is dangerous. It strips her of her strongest weapon, the emotional game, and it puts you on a throne of ice, ruling your own value. The man who masters detachment doesn't plead, doesn't chase, doesn't bend. He watches, weighs, and if the vibe's toxic, he's gone. Not with a tantrum, but with surgical conviction. No note, no manifesto, no recycled nostalgia. Because this guy gets what 99% don't. Life's too short to orbit someone else's ego. And then everything shifts. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, letting silence do the talking. Women notice. They feel it. They squirm. Because unlike the rest, you don't have that hungry look in your eyes anymore. You're not there to win her over. You're there to choose, and that's something they can't handle. They're used to the needy, the desperate, the emotionally hooked. But the man who doesn't need them to feel whole, that guy's terrifying. Because he doesn't follow a script, doesn't give them a stage, doesn't hand over control. Don't get it twisted. Detachment isn't empty coldness. It's clarity. It's emotional maturity. It's the freedom to walk away without a scene, cut ties without a circus, turn your back without leaving a void, because the only one empty was her. The man who owns detachment becomes a problem, because he doesn't need to prove his worth. He is the worth, and he won't beg for someone who only offered absence. Detachment sets you free. It lifts you above the soap opera she called romance, and it shows you that loving was never the issue. The issue was erasing yourself to be loved. And that's done. Number 9. The lethal technique purposeful absence, or how to vanish without disappearing and leave her ego imploding in silence. Some guys vanish for drama, for petty pride, for childish impulses. Then there's the guy who disappears with surgical precision. No shouting, no warning. He closes the door softly and locks it from the inside. That's the difference between running away and mastering the art of purposeful absence. This isn't ghosting, it's selective presence. It's staying on the radar but out of reach. It's existing as a living memory and a dead signal. You don't disappear, you withdraw. with finesse, with calculation, with cold venom. You stop showing up at her usual haunts, at her expected times. In the feed she used to scroll to keep tabs on her employee of the month. You don't block her because blocking still gives her relevance. You just become untouchable, a discontinued product. And that hits harder than betrayal. Because now she has nowhere to run. If she texts, she's exposed. If she reacts, she's desperate. If she tries to start a conversation, she's waving the white flag. And she knows it. Her ego calculates every move with dread. Because any step toward you now is an admission of defeat. So what does she do? Nothing. Swallows hard, silently, dying inside. Purposeful absence is the most elegant torture there is. It doesn't give her the right to play victim. Because you didn't yell, didn't cheat, didn't explode. You just recognized the value of your silence. What did she expect? That you'd lose it? Throw a fit? Beg for one more shot? But you didn't give her that show. You did something far worse. You didn't say goodbye. And that absence without noise, without drama, without an audience, is her ego's grave. Because now she gets it. You didn't leave out of anger. You left out of self-respect. You realized staying meant begging for crumbs. And the only thing stronger than love is dignity. In the end, what destroys her isn't your absence. It's that she never valued it when you were still there. Now it's too late. You didn't just vanish. You stopped belonging. Brutal closure, the silent pain she'll never admit. Or how her ego melts inside, while her facade fights to survive. Don't expect a text. Don't expect a novel-length apology. Don't expect her to confess her regrets out loud. She'll never admit she misses you. Never say she screwed it all up. Never look you in the eye and say, I lost the best man I ever had. Her ego won't let her. Her pride locks it down. The show must go on. Instead of truth, you get what? The act. The emotional makeup. That rehearsed, I'm thriving, never been better face. But inside, a silent meltdown. A mental loop of questions she's too scared to ask, choking her in the quiet of her own arrogance. Why didn't he come back? How did he move on without me? When did I lose control? And the answer she refuses to face is the most brutal. She lost you the moment she realized you didn't need her anymore. That's what breaks her. Not your scorn, not your silence, not your coldness. It's the reality check. The guy she played with a single emoji now looks at her like a faded memory. No anger, no longing, nothing. You didn't shout. You didn't shatter. You just grew. Became someone else. Untouchable, unreachable, unfazed. And that's what she'll never get over. Because the female ego is built to handle the weak. To outplay the needy. To control the emotionally desperate. But the man who vanishes without a scene and reappears like he was never touched, that's the one she can't manage. The one she fears. The one she secretly craves, while pretending she's fine. You didn't lose her. She lost the man you used to be. And what's left is someone she'll never have again. Because what drives you now isn't revenge. It's freedom. And that, my friend, she'll only understand when it's far too late.